Welcome everybody to today's webinar, The Future Belongs to the Fast, Transform Your Business with IT Management. My name is Dan Wood from HPE Software Marketing here in EMEA, and it's great to have so many of you on the webinar and hopefully many of you listening on demand over the next few weeks. I'm going to take you through a quick highlight of today's agenda and introduce the key speakers, and also outline for you a couple of very key items of the webinar platform that we have today. So first up, this is a follow-on from our major customer event, HPE Discover, and today's webinar is one of 9 in a virtual summit that we're really proudly running in conjunction with Vivid. A huge thank you from the HPE team to Vivid for being a great partner and joining many members to us so we can continue to talk to our users, get feedback, and really tell them the best story of the new releases we've got and what's exciting and upcoming in our portfolio. So big thanks to Vivid, and please, as guys, you are looking at the rest of the content, I will outline at the end of today's webinar the further 8 that are in this session. There are some great customers who have kindly volunteered to tell their stories, and we also have several more HPE experts who will be giving you their point of view. So as discussed, I'm Dan Wood from the EMEA marketing team, and I'm really pleased to introduce today 2 key speakers we have who have very kindly agreed to join all the way from the US, early morning time for them. So we have Roy Ritala. Roy leads our IT operations management product marketing team. He's a 20-year industry veteran, came to HPE relatively recently, a lot of deep experience in the industry, brings a great perspective to the portfolio, a lot of stories from customer use cases. And we also have Jennifer Murphy. She's our global leader of corporate marketing and communications, a long-term HPE team member, and again, lots of experience around the portfolio and customer use cases. So I think you're in great hands with today's speakers, and I just want to outline for you a couple of key features of the webinar platform that we have today. This is the new platform that Vivid are using, so it may not be familiar to all of you. The session is live and is being recorded. Recordings are available to all of you as Vivid members. I do encourage you, you can opt in to receive further information from ourselves and Vivid at the end of the presentation if you haven't done so yet, and we will send you valuable information on further webinars and product releases. You can also enlarge the presentation screen, so up there in the right-hand corner, you can click on the rectangle and you'll be able to download the slides at the end. If you do have questions, we have a tight agenda today. You can type questions in the box below, and myself or one of the other colleagues will reply back to you. So that's enough of an intro. Now, very happy to hand over to Jennifer Murphy. Jennifer, welcome.
Hey, Dan, thank you. Hope everybody can hear me. So, first of all, thanks to the Vivid community for having us today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us through a little bit of an introduction about what does it really mean for the future belonging to the fast, and how does that impact our application delivery management portfolio, and actually how we put that into reality within our own R&D team. So I'm not going to do too much of an introduction about the problem here and really setting things up, because I think we're going to have some deep dive webinars that Dan will talk about at the end of this session that will go into more detail. But I think we can all agree that software and IT is everywhere. Everywhere we turn, someone is talking about a mobile app, a web app, the digital experience. Everything and everyone is becoming software defined. And what does that mean? That means that there's a huge opportunity for IT. You know, software is the product, it's the innovation engine, it's the core of what many businesses are doing. We now have large insurance companies, and their businesses are critically dependent on the digital experience. How quickly can they bring new customers through and to their web or mobile experience, for example? But what does that really mean in reality? If software is everywhere, if everything is becoming software defined, then that also places a level of importance, not just on the software, but on the applications and the data, and therefore the delivery of those applications. And there are three critical things that we see that our customers have to balance in order for them to be able to really manage the reality of modern application delivery. One is speed, the other is quality, and the third is scale. And each of these are a balancing act against one another. There is no point at being able to innovate faster and deliver faster if you don't have quality across all the vectors of performance, functional, and security. You want to be able to turn your ideas into products or services in a notion of using continuous delivery or DevOps, but you can't do that when you sacrifice quality and introduce business risk. And at the same time, you also need to be able to do that whilst managing the complexity of a modern IT environment. There will be traditional systems, SAP, CRM, mainframe. There'll be new technologies, web and mobile, IoT. And you have to be able to, again, balance. Balance is the key, being able to balance all of these at scale. And that's really what the ADM, the Application Delivery Management portfolio, is all about. It's about how do we enable speed, quality and scale across all the different vectors. And here you can just see a quick summary of really what the ADM portfolio is about. And speed, quality and scale are woven throughout all of the products that we have, whether it's our project and portfolio management that helps our customers like you to be able to look at complex programs across their IT landscape and be able to do things like application rationalization, deciding which applications, for example, are most critical to the business and being able to decide which maybe need to be retired. ALM and Quality Center, including ALM Octane, critical ALM Octane for being able to look at the new modern application delivery stack, being able to do DevOps, an open, integrated system which connects all of the dots, collects all of the data, connects all of the dots, and gives you the visibility to be able to look end to end. All core quality tools across the various vectors of testing, as I spoke about before, and then also our virtualization stack. You know, if you want to achieve scale, you have to think, how am I going to remove the roadblocks from my dev and my test teams in order to be able to adapt to all of those different technologies? And that's where our virtualization stack with things like service and network virtualization really come into play. So, in order to show the value that we have, I'm going to do a quick whistle-stop tour of what's our own R&D story. So, in our R&D team, we've been on a 5-year journey. Okay, we've gone from 8 products to 15 products. We've gone from releasing every 18 to 24 months to releasing every quarter, and SaaS releases every 4 to 8 weeks, and in some cases every 2 weeks. We are going through, and we've been through the same journey that you've been going on, looking at how do we automate more, how do we move to DevOps, how do we move to more continuous life cycles. And in order to do that, the 3 core things that we have to do, we have to look at the technology, the technique, and the talent. So first of all, if I look at technology, the bottom line with technology is that the tooling needs to support this faster delivery, but it has to help you balance the scale and quality elements. And really, when I look at what were the core things that we said we needed from our technology platforms, and these in turn actually became the core beliefs of ALM Octane, is we said we needed a platform that was open and integrated. So when looking for solutions, look for solutions that are going to provide you open APIs that will provide you connectors. DevOps is all about an integrated tool chain. Moving faster is about connecting the dots. And so for us, we wanted to build into Octane and into the solutions that we use, the fact that we could connect to any framework, whether that's testing, management, operations, we can build it in. Simplicity and usability. Okay, you want to have guidance. You want to have insight using the data, the smart analysis, and the predictive application lifecycle. You want the ability to be able to be guided for your different users through the lifecycle. We learned that. We learned that we can't necessarily leave everything to chance. We have to let the technology guide us and take us to the next step. And that's why you'll see, for example, in ALM Octane, various capabilities like our DevOps pipelines, the ability for us to integrate into any framework and see that in a single view. Okay? It's great if you can connect, but you need to have transparency. We spend so much time, like you probably do, trying to connect the dots. One tool here, an Excel here, a Word doc here, just to create one report. In Octane, we have end-to-end visibility. And the team in the series of webinars over the next few hours and weeks will take you through more detail on this. That visibility has to give you meaningful data. So we needed to be able to track progress and quality in a single view at every stage. So in ALM Octane, you have the ability to get all of the data in one place, whether it's from HPE tools or whether it's third party. We integrate with open source. We bring in all of your testing, again, whether it's done on tools like LoadRunner, StormRunner Load, UST, or even Selenium. One place, one view. The next piece is technique. Okay? Great. We all know this. It's an age-old Adam that it's great if you've got tools, but you need to have process as well. You need to have technique. And there are a couple of key lessons that we learned. When it came to how do we move fast and how will that future belong to us, we needed to move to DevOps. It doesn't have to be everyone, but you've got to get started with DevOps. And when you get started with DevOps, there are a few rules. There are a couple of things that you really want to make sure that you do. Working based on priorities is one of them. The other one is making sure that done is done. If you're going to build a backlog of work, that's great. But you need to make sure that everybody's on the same page with regards to what's going to be done first and what constitutes that piece of work being done. It needs to be tested end to end. And in order to facilitate that end-to-end communication, that ability that everyone's on the same page, one of the key things we learned is the notion of collaboration and again trying to automate that collaboration. And whether it's using things like chat-ops just to be able to even start a conversation between two teams in an automated fashion so that we can streamline decision making and instead of having back and forth, bring everyone into one virtual room to connect on the same work item, or whether it's using chat-ops to be able to do things like integrating and bringing in production data so that we can use production data so that we know where to test, where have we got the problems, where are most users being impacted. We do this with our SaaS applications today. We take data from our SaaS world and we use it to feed our backlog of priorities. And we've introduced that into our tools today. The last area is talent, okay? Technology, process, nothing without the people. And we learned some great lessons when it came to people. The first thing that we understood is that talent is going to be the driver, but we may need to rethink where we've got the different people, especially when it came to QA. We needed to think about people who had a dev mentality. That didn't mean that they were developers, but they understood. They understood the world of QA and they understood the world of dev. People who understood the notion of agile and iterative and being able to work in different small chunks. And here you can bring, this is actually a live view of one of our R&D desks in Yehud in Israel. It brings the notion of the multidiscipline engineer, the multidisciplinary QA person who has the Jenkins monitors so that they can look at build checking when they're doing continuous checking, and they can see which builds have actually broken, which check-in caused an issue, where do we have a quality issue. They've got the pipeline summary, which is coming from ALM Octane, so they can see the overall status. They've got the IDE, where they're potentially executing some lower-level tests. And then they've got things like Mobile Center, or maybe it might be UST, or Load Runner Open, the core testing and core quality solution. But looking at all of these different pieces in context, so it's not just about the QA world, it's also about what's happening in dev as well, and how, when I get called in to collaborate with my dev compatriots, how do I have the information? And you can see here actually the red and green on the Jenkins monitors, that is talking about when a build breaks. Okay, and calling out specifically which team, which group caused that issue, so we can have open communication about what we need to do next. And then having the QA dashboard that again has the broadest coverage. So we can look at everything from manual versus automation. How many defects do we have that are going into production? How long have those defects been open? I'll be signing up for too much work. If we go back to the notion of working by priorities, then we need to make sure that we are consistent, okay, and that we're always looking at where we've got issues, and are we taking on too much work that we're not addressing the defects which are most critical. Now, this has literally been a whistle-stop tour, but don't just take my word for why. You know, we've taken these scenarios, we've built them into our different product lines within ADM. We've taken our experiences and built them in, and that has proven itself, because over the past 12 to 18 months, we have spent a lot of time working with our customers like you and working with analysts, and it's proven itself. Because as you can see here, as we say, we lead so that you can succeed. We've not only taken our experiences, but we've also taken the best practices, and that's led to great feedback from the analysts. We've worked hard over the past 12 to 18 months to regain or maintain our market position. And you'll see that we are now listed, as I think we have been previously in the past in many areas, as leaders in each of these core areas. So what's the next thing to do before I pass over to Roy? It's to say, you know what, don't just take my word for it. Don't just take the word of the analyst. Get started now. You can go online and you can get started with ALM Octane immediately. Go to sas.hp.com and you'll be able to see some of these things in action. You'll be able to see how we took our own experience and built it into our platform. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Roy, who's going to take us through, yes, great, you've got your application built, but what does that mean once you've landed it in operations? Roy?
Thank you, Janessa, and good morning, good afternoon to everybody on the call. Like Janessa, I'm going to give you a quick taste of what's going on in our IT operations platform, because really, once, as Janessa said, once the application is built and delivered with quality and put out into production, that's when IT operations really comes in. In the old days, there may have been a wall between those two groups. In the new days, that wall has come down, and it's really one continuous operation between the development side and operation. So the essential of being fast in the world of operations has never been more important. So let me take you through a quick tour of what that all means from an operations point of view and give you a taste of what you're going to go see in the upcoming webinars. So first thing in operations, the buck stops here in operations, so to speak. That means operations is driven almost exclusively now by outcomes. It may have at one point been the area of technology projects. In these days, it is no longer. It has to deliver efficiency. It has to move faster and faster and be more and more agile and responsive to the business. And it has to be perceived as a platform for innovation. If you're not helping the company innovate and you're not in line with that objective and that agenda of the company, you're in a lot more trouble than you used to be. Inside that drive to what we call efficiency, agility, and innovation is the context of a journey between a traditional IT base that we've been maintaining now in some cases for years, and a new digital enterprise base that is enabling this faster pace of application delivery and connection to customers. There's a very, very defined set of steps, from automation of specific tasks, orchestration of end-to-end processes, and then the ultimate transformation of the delivery to your internal and external customers that you have to go through to be able to make that journey and to be able to balance the concerns of traditional and digital. So that requires a lot from IT operations. You have to, these items on the slide here are real imperatives. You need to deliver an experience. It has to be not just an experience and face the end user, but it's got to be personalized. It's got to be consumerized, and it's got to be smart. You have to have the ability to assure and optimize application workloads, no matter if they're more traditional or if they're modern. And you have to deliver them and manage them across a fully automated data center with a continuous delivery capability. Ideally, that's built on top of a foundation that allows you some consistency across all of these functions. Now, with those pretty audacious requirements in mind, on the IT operations side, we've done a job of radically simplifying our portfolio. And you'll see that going ahead in the webinars. We've boiled down a catalog of well over 40, 50 products into 4 key suites around IT service management on the front end side and the customer interface, operations bridge product line and suite, which manages the availability and assurance environment, and our data center automation hybrid cloud management suites as well, which handle delivery and automation. All these things are important elements. They all sit on top of a new evolving core technology foundation, and you all have elements of this in your data centers today. Most of these products, all of these products have a legacy, and it takes your existing investments and kind of moves them forward and allows you to modernize them and handle both the traditional and the digital. So we've been working hard on that. We've also been using that base, because as you simplify the core, we've been using that base to do our own innovation. If you're going to provide innovation or be the platform for innovation for your customers, our customers' customers, we also have to deliver innovation to you to make that job easier and allow you to take advantage of some of the innovations from our shop. So there's 4 areas that we've been delivering, and when we were at Discover in London a while back, we showcased these. One is a long-standing commitment to analytics and the spread of analytics throughout our product line. We all know that we do a better job in the operations center. Our people are more productive. We get more efficiency and smarter if we rely more and more and more on analyzed data. And you're seeing analytics pop up in the service management space to drive user experience and analyst experience, in the operations space to drive diagnostics, time to value, to drive root cause analysis, and also now in the automation space to understand drift, for example, between ideal and existing configuration. It all exists. Second we have is Genefa. We're partnering with Genefa's team and across all of HP software on this ChatOps initiative, which allows you to go talk to people using chat interfaces, people and robots, we call bots, in the environment, so that the applications, the management applications across the value chain and the analysts behind them, and sometimes the customers, can talk to each other in a chat environment and collaboratively solve problems and get on top of things. It's a very cool new thing that you can enable your customers to do. We handle modern workloads, especially those built on containers, and we're really, really maniacally focused on user experience, in particular time to value. Now, in our space, it's all very interesting, but it's irrelevant unless customers achieve value. And we continue, again, to be maniacal about customer value. And as you look at the other presentations that are coming on today, question them, look at the customer examples that they're providing you, because they're very interesting in terms of case studies and how they've taken advantage of not just the platform and the products and the innovations, but how they've adapted it to their custom environment. You'll see a whole spread of maturities from I just want to save money to I want to enable specific KPIs, as for example in the case of SunGuard here. We have a full range of customers. We're one of the biggest in the industry, so we have a big database we can learn from and you can learn from. One of the new areas I wanted to highlight, a couple that I wanted to touch on before I got out of here that are interesting. One is about modern workload management. We're spending a lot of time in our area getting on top of container management. Containers are coming over from Genefa's application world and taking over the world. Containers use technologies like Docker and Kubernetes and some others like that, Mesosphere. The statistics are overwhelming, a little bit like virtualization in the early days. And we think we have a pretty strong lead from an innovation point of view in not just managing them, but also using them. And in the using them, we're converting our suites, all of those products. Not only are we simplifying them, we're building them on top of a containerized base now. We're actually using the technology. And our next generation suites, which is starting to release right now, they're coming out of the market right now, are going to have step function improvements in terms of time to value. So you can consume things in minutes, not days, hours, not weeks. And it's all real because of this new technology, which allows us to go very quickly, standardize, and configure more quickly. So those are our core innovations. I'd like you to think about them as you go through the day around the suites, container lifecycle management, and our time to value. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Dan. Experience and innovation. Make sure you talk to your partners. They're very involved in Vivid, and leverage this relationship that you have with Vivid. We love Vivid as a partner, and we really want to make you successful and Vivid successful through providing you as much information as you need and interacting with you. So with that, back over to Dan.
Roy, thank you. Thanks, Roy. Thanks, Jennifer. Great overview there from both of you. In the final 2 minutes, folks, I just wanted to highlight the remaining 8 webinars we have over the next 3 days. So if you're viewing this one on demand, please go back and look at the others that are available. And if you're here live with us, please think about where you'd like to join us over the next 3 days. We have 4 sessions focused on IT operations management, going into more detail on the areas that Roy's just covered from his portfolio. In particular, we've got a customer, Hemit, kindly joining us tomorrow to cover their Big Data Service Desk story. Really good long-term use case there from Hemit. Very interesting, as Roy said, you know, hard info on what they've done and what they've achieved. We've also got an overview later today on transforming IT operations management with OpsBridge. Great overview of that solution. And a session coming up in the next few days on cloud. A couple of sessions there on cloud. So please pick the ones that are most interesting to yourselves in your area. And then on the ADM portfolio, again, 4 sessions coming up. We have Toby Marsden presenting in about 30 minutes. Don't underestimate the power of good apps, picking up from where Genefa left off. And then we've a further 3 sessions, including our customer Almac Information Services tomorrow, talking about their use case. And we're also joined by a key partner of ours discussing supporting the idea economy in the world of finance. So a good overview there of Mobile Center for Financial Services. We hope that's of interest to you. And I would like also to highlight, in May, we're hosting our annual customer forum. This time it will be in Dublin. This is an opportunity to come meet with the folks like Roy, Genefa, our key product managers, our key pre-sales guys, also our good friends at Vivid, and to basically hear from your peers how they're using the software portfolio, hear the use cases in detail, hear the latest on roadmaps and developments. It's always a fun and very interactive week, and that is May the 16th to 19th. There's a registration link, or at least a save the date link available with this presentation pack. Please put that in your calendars, and we hope to see as many of you as possible signing up to come and join us for that event. So with that, I would like to thank you for joining us. Please do take a moment to complete the short survey. Help us get these kind of webinars improved and better for you in the future. Opt in for the information so you can hear more from us. And if there are any further questions, please type them in the box and we will get back to you. Thanks to Vivit, thanks to our speakers, thanks to you for joining, and please take advantage of the remaining 8 webinars in this post-Discover Summit that we're hosting for you. Thanks and goodbye.